I'm Beatrice Go and welcome to Sports Wrap. The Philippines Tokyo 2020 Olympics campaign is finally at full swing as the delayed pandemic hit games begin. But before we talk about the opening ceremonies, there were a lot of things that went on in Tokyo today. Local residents caught the performance of Blue Impulse, the Japan's Air Self-Defense Force aerobatic demonstration squadron. The pilots flew over the city and drew the Olympic rings in their original colors: blue, yellow, black, green, and red. Hundreds of locals also gathered at Sendagaya Station and outside the Olympic Stadium as they wait for the opening ceremonies to commence. The opening ceremonies in the COVID hit games had to be different. Unlike previous editions, the event is heavily restricted due to increasing COVID-19 cases in Tokyo. The Tokyo Organizing Committee was forced to scale down the performances as they claimed and the sponsor appearances. No fans are allowed in the wat- to no fans were allowed to watch the games, including the opening and closing ceremonies. The Philippines was the 146th to march on stage, where boxer Yumir Marshall and judoka Kiyomi Watanabe carried the flag. Unlike other major multi-sport events where the whole delegation can march, only two flag bearers, one male and one female, and six officials were allowed. Other world-class athletes who bannered the opening ceremonies were WNBA star and five-time Olympic champion Sue Bird and Washington Wizards Rui Hachimura. It was kept under the wraps, but the cauldron lighter was none other than four-time tennis Grand Slam champion Naomi Osaka. For our special opening ceremonies live, I will be joined by Rappler's very own Chito de la Vega. Chito was a former sports writer and is now Rappler's senior desk editor, but remains a sports fan for life. Chito also said that he is an eternal dreamer that the Philippines can finally win its first Olympic gold. So, hi, Sir Chito, and welcome to Sports Wrap. Oh, Sir Chito, I think you are on mute.
Yan, okay na. Can you hear me
Yes,
now?
okay
Yeah.
na. Okay na. Siguro
After waiting so
na-stall ka
long, I
talaga
forgot
sa
to unmute. Anyway, I said that was worth the wait naman. Yung ending the opening ceremony was except for the dragging part ng calling of the parang candidates for the beauty pageant, pero it was okay. I'm happy.
Yeah. Yes, like watching Naomi Osaka light that cauldron. Like, ang ganda talaga ng cauldron nun. What was your favorite part of the opening ceremonies?
Yeah, the lighting of the cauldron, and I like the pictograms. Ang maganda kasi sa Japan, although they're very tradition bound and they're very nuanced, everything has a meaning when they move. They also are there's this throwing back to the old things that they were doing. The reason why I like the pictograms of the sports pictograms was because these are actually also the same pictograms they used in 1964. Pero the way they delivered it, they showed it this time. Parang yung using also a traditional Japanese form of art na ano. Ang galing, galing.
Yeah, very performative pa, like yung pictograms, like how they orchestrated everything. So,
Different sports, yeah.
so yeah, so Chito, like we know that the Tokyo Olympics this time is extra unusual because of COVID-19. But how much have the games progressed over the years with or without the pandemic?
Uh, all Olympic Games, I noticed from since I started watching, I'm going to show my age here. Pero I remember I first followed the Olympic Games when I was in grade 2. You weren't born then, and maybe your parents weren't born then, B. But it was 1972. I was listening on the radio, and it was the Munich Olympics. And I remember distinctly, kasi I listened for the first basketball game. It was Philippines versus Poland. Natalo tayo ron. Pero the opening ceremony, I also remember, it was Jimmy Mariano, the basketball player, now naging coach na, and the tallest man in the Philippine team at 6'4", who carried the flag. The reason I mentioned that was because throughout the years, when you always watch the Olympics, there's always drama in every Olympic Games. There's always ano, and it's always fast. Talagang totoo yung ano yung I forgot how you called it in Greek, pero yung faster, stronger, higher, Celsius, Celsius, Altius, and whatever. It's always ano, improving ganyan. Tas may drama lagi yan. Lagi may storya yan. Parang it's always the triumph of the human spirit, the triumph of a person. So the Olympics is really very interesting for me especially. And it has improved a lot ngayon. But I think this time it will be very different because it's the COVID games. Eh. It's like the COVID pandemic games. It's going to be very different.
Yes, there were just so many strict protocols. But then, as you said, like I think the hashtag now is hashtag see us stronger because they're trying to recover from all the disasters. Like for Japan, they're just trying to prove that they have recovered, and we saw that like with the six kids who brought the
Yes,
Olympic
yes.
torch. Like they represented the regions that were hit. So
By the
you
great
and you
earthquake, di
also
ba? Mm.
yes, the earthquake also. And you said that like you were an eternal dreamer that the Philippines will finally win its first Olympic gold medal. So, why was it so difficult to imagine or to realize in the last few editions?
um, before saying before giving a guess kung bakit hindi tayo manalo, let me just tell you how painful it is for a sports fan. Kasi biro mo, even small countries, countries even half our population, even smaller, have won gold medals, di ba? Tayo, puro hanggang silver lang. And it even became more painful when Singapore when Singapore won, I think Rio Games lang yata yun eh, di ba? Ng Rio Games na nalo si Schooling. Daniel ba o David
Yes.
Schooling? Singapore, di ba?
Joseph
Joseph
Schooling
Schooling,
won
di ba?
Singapore
Nanalo sa
first
swimming,
gold
di ba?
medal.
First gold medal nila, di ba? Imagine that. Napakaliit ng Singapore. Tapos tayo, ganito lang. But, syempre, Pilipino, nakahanap pa rin angle before we go to the Filipino. Si Schooling was raised by a Filipina yaya. If you remember reading stories about that, ang yaya
Yes.
niya was a Filipina. And he gave, during his, I don't know what games were that, he used to give his medals sa yaya niya, hindi sa parents niya. So, Filipina. So, syempre, claim ng Pinoy. Pero, I think more importantly also for that is that the Philippines, I think, and in the as an observer, the Philippines keeps missing out on that elusive gold medalist because we don't treat our athletes well, or we don't parang if you go to the Rizal Memorials, makikita mo yung mga tulugan ng mga athletes, maawa ka eh. I mean, you want them to deliver the gold for the country, pero you treat them, I just don't want to say it, pero hindi maganda yung minsan yung trato natin. And I maybe understand baka kulang pera natin or ng bansa and athletes. Pero if we only treat our athletes well in private and government sector, maybe we would have had a better chance. But except this year, I think we have a very good. Ewan ko, every Olympic Games, I always feel this way. I feel positive. Finally, we will win a gold medal this year.
Yes, and I also agree with what you said that we actually need like an Olympic team for each Olympic athlete that we said. And yun nga, like I think that we also have a very good chance, especially if we're talking about preparation. Like Heidelin Diaz has her team, Carlos Yulo, our world champion gymnast, has his own team as well. So, what are your expectations naman for this delegation, and who do you want to see perform like who do you think will perform very very well this time?
Mm, of course, I think we will. Uh, the best thing that will happen to us is we will win a gold medal, not just one but more. But the worst thing is we will maintain our, sabi nga nung sa kanina nung in-introduce yung Philippines eh, the country with the most, nung pagpasok ng Pilipinas doon sa parade entrance eh,
Oh,
the,
oh,
the
they
country
said
would,
that most
di ba?
medals with no gold.
Yes, we will maintain that for sure. If we, that's the worst case scenario. And what makes this different is, I think, uh, there's a smaller field sa bawat contest na sinalihan ng mga ano natin, athletes natin. Like I read in our story that our boxers need just to win two wins to reach the podium, di ba? So, di ba? But more than exciting about that is we're not just relying on the boxers this time. We have other athletes who are Hidilin is one and uh, kung manghuhula ako, ang huhulaan ko babae mananalo ng first gold medal ng Pilipinas. So one of them is Hidilin and our was this a skateboard si
Marjorie
Margie
Dedal.
Marjeline Dedal looks very exciting. Although kanina narinig ko yung mga announcer, ina-announce yung American favorite daw. I don't know if they're in the same event, pero they're talking about America. But Marjeline is very prepared for this. And of course, our boxers and si Carlos Yulo. Although I was talking to a friend of mine, a fellow sports writer from way back. Sabi niya may sindikato dyan sa gymnastics kasi it's syempre judged by scoring. So medyo malabo. So, but ang sabi ko advantage is, and I heard kanina rin din sa while they were when they introduced Japan. Japan has one of the best gymnastics schools in the world. So and where did Carlos Yulo train? Di ba? In Japan. So very exciting. Of course, we also have our golfers and the others. And it's a very interesting games for us. And also lastly pala before I forget, these are the COVID-19 games. So the atmosphere is very different. The field is uh, although baka sabihin natin medyo mahina yung field, parang ano yan beauty pageant eh. You enter a candidate pero if you win, you become a queen. So all Olympians, nagle-level up sila ng ano nila, ng performances nila. They all bigla sila nagbabago pagdating ng Olympics. They always perform their best. So it's going to be very exciting, especially for the Philippines and especially for someone as like me, the hopeless dreamer. Ay, wag naman hopeless, the dreamer, eternal dreamer ng Philippine gold medal.
Yes, and hope springs eternal. And I do love the analogy of the beauty pageant. So, like, we just really can't wait for the games to start. So, Carlos Yulo will be kicking off the qualifying tomorrow. And also, as you said, diba, like, you're thinking like it's a woman who would win with the first Olympic gold. We have Nesty Petesho from our
Itesho.
women's boxing, yes, women's world boxing champion. She's starting her first round tomorrow. And si Yumir Marshall nga yung sinasabi mong 2 wins lang tapos podium finish. So the field is very spread out this time. Like it's not only relying on yung favorite sport natin which is boxing this time.
Ang maganda kasi sa combat sports is the first goal talaga is to reach the finals. To reach the finals. And then the it's uh and then hope for that lucky punch or lucky isang suntok lang you will win the gold. Kaya medyo malaking chance din ng ano natin. Although maraming beses tayo na broke na nasirang ano natin. I think I heard Thailand has its gold medals were from boxers. Dati medyo pareho yung program natin, boxing program natin tsaka yung Thailand boxing program. So kung ano man, combat sports baka. But our women athletes are very primed.
Yes, and our boxers actually trained in Thailand also. So
Ganun ba? Talaga?
maraming yes, so maraming good preparations talaga. Like we got like the world class preparations. We went to the trainers who who have trained Olympic gold medalists. Also EJ Obiana in with coach
EJ, yeah.
Vitaly. Yes, he coached Tiago Braz, the 2016 Rio Olympic gold medalist in pole vault
Hmm.
naman.
Pero
Yeah.
maganda rin ang record ni EJ going to these games, di ba? Maganda yung
Yes,
record niya.
he's world number 6.
Uy, that's very good, ah. That's basta nasa top 10 ka among the athletes, you have you have a good shot at the gold medal. Anything can happen. Anything can happen. Part of the drama.
Yes, that's so true. That's part of sports. Like really anything can happen talaga. So, yun. Thank you so much, Sir Chito, for sharing your experiences as an avid sports fan of following the Olympics for so long also. So,
1972, ah.
sinabi na talaga yung Munich Games.
And that was just radio, ah. We were just listening on radio. We weren't watching TV. I remember when me and my brothers, we were listening on the radio, listening for the Philippine basketball team. Sila Jaworski pa. Talo. Natalo Pilipinas. Thank you, B.
Yes. Yes, thank you so much, Sir Cheetah. And don't forget to follow Raptors coverage of the Tokyo 2020 Olympics starting tomorrow until the closing ceremonies. So see you then. Again, this is Beatrice Go from Rappler. Yay!